Oh, why is it saying I'm signed out? It says because I'm signed into another. I don't know the password.
Hands are not strong enough to continue to write for that amount of time.
I must have didn't. Maybe I don't know how to spell cannabis. Okay, I guess I can start now. Okay, can everybody hear me? The people online, can you guys hear me? Yeah, they can hear me. Okay, legal research, the last session of the day on a Friday. Yes. Okay, you got a question already. Okay, what's the question? Go to attendees. Attendees. Allowed to talk. Okay. Yes. Mr. Milton?
I'm good. I was just trying to answer your question that we could hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
I'll lower my hand.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First, a little bit about me. I am an alum of the Law Center. I also have a Master's of Library and Information Sciences. I'm a member of the Louisiana Bar. I work here at the Law Center full-time as Assistant Director for Public Services. I'm also an adjunct professor. I teach mainly legal research and torts in the evening program. So today I want to talk about three things. Number one, I want to talk about the trends in legal research. Number two, I want to talk about some strategies that we can implement to make our online legal researching more effective. And third, I want to talk about the legal research services that are available. Of course, we all know about the big two, but I also want to talk about some lesser known services that may be able to provide you with quality research at a free cost or maybe a lower cost. So that's what I want to cover today. So first, the current and future trends in legal research. So I looked at the 2021 ABA profile of the profession. They do this report every year and they survey attorneys to get a perspective of how we feel and how we practice in different areas. And so in terms of research, the lawyers who were surveyed report that they spend on average 18% of their time each day doing legal research. That's a lot, right? Nearly 60% of lawyers regularly use free online tools as part of their research. About 56% rely on fee-based online legal research tools. And the fee-based tools used most often by the lawyers who were surveyed are of course, what? Westlaw and Lexis, right? Those are the big two, right? Approximately 1/3 of lawyers start their legal research projects with the free search engines, such as Google. I know I do that too, and I have access to Westlaw and Lexis, but I think we're so conditioned to go to Google first, right? Yeah, I'd like to start sometimes as a jumping off point with Google, but then of course I go to Westlaw, go to Lexis, I go to like a more reliable source, right? 30% of lawyers indicated that they begin their research with paid online search tools. 12% prefer to utilize a free legal research tool that's provided by their state bar association. So we know that all the state bars provide their members with some type of research database, right? Some type of service. What's the service that we use here in Louisiana? You guys know? Fast Case. Right. Fast Case is provided to us by the Louisiana Bar. 7% like to start with print materials. So I'm guessing these might be our older, more seasoned attorneys, right? Because nobody, we don't typically start with print materials anymore. 3% use a firm resource at the start of their research project. So attorneys who work at these firms who've invested a lot of money in these libraries, they have those resources to go to, right? 3% start their research on government websites. So this is what attorneys are saying about how they start their research, where they go first, right? Let's talk about hardware and devices. So we know that we are mobile workers, and we've really increased that with the pandemic, right? We work wherever we are. And so if we're not at our office in front of a desktop computer, we're using our laptops. If we're not using our laptops, we're using our mobile phones. And then some of us are also using tablets, right? So we're mobile workers. That's what we do. In terms of future trends, this report also found that nearly a quarter of those who responded indicated that they expect that artificial intelligence-based tools will become mainstream in the legal profession within 3 years. So that's something that's actually taking place right now. But if we want to look more towards the future, AI is the big thing when it comes to legal research. And it's not only going to impact legal research, but it's going to impact the entire profession. So do you guys have an idea of artificial intelligence? What are your thoughts about it? Anybody? See, I'm giving y'all an opportunity to talk now. They were supposed to give me some comments. They promised me a comment in the room. Okay, somebody online. Mr. Long said it's better than humans. You don't think there's any benefit for artificial intelligence in terms of like the legal practice? Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So Professor Gilbert is saying she's not for it to a certain extent because she's saying at some point it could go so far as to maybe you don't even need an attorney anymore, right? Is it gonna outwork us? Is it gonna put us out of our jobs? Mm-hmm. Right. The people in the room are saying they're doing too much with the AI. Mr. Richard said it depends. Mr. Long said a computer that can work 24 hours a day, research every known case and synthesize that into a perfect brief will soon become the standard. Yeah, it looks like that's what it's going towards. It's going to, that's Professor Gilbert is agreeing with you, Mr. Long. So artificial intelligence, just to give everybody a general definition, is the ability of a digital computer or a computer-controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. The term is frequently applied to the project of developing systems endowed with the intellectual processes characteristic of humans, such as the ability to reason, discover meaning, generalize, or learn from past experience. Those are all human characteristics. In the legal research context, the term artificial intelligence has no single commonly accepted meaning. However, it's usually attached to research platforms that include elements of machine learning, pattern recognition, data visualization, natural language processing, or some combination of those. So it is here already, and that's my next point. So a lot of these research services are claiming that, look, we're already implementing AI in some form or another. So for example, Bloomberg is saying that they're using some type of AI in their points of law. Westlaw is saying that they use it in their edge citator improvements. Lexis is saying they use it in their Lex Machina. Fastcase is saying that they have a bad law bot. So all of these services are purporting to use some type of AI in what they're already offering us, but it's going to expand as time moves on. So those are the current trends, and that's what's on the horizon for us in terms of legal research. Anybody have any questions? See some people in the chat. Oh, that's interesting. Mr. Long said it can't pick a jury, it can't cross-examine a witness, and it can't read body language. So we still have a job. Patterns and yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's true. But it can't, is it going to be able to read body language and stuff like that? It'll have to program it. I mean, because yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, does that? So I just wanted to give you guys an overview of what the current trends are and what we're looking at moving towards the future. That's a great question. I'm going to talk about that too. It doesn't. It's usually not going to be as comprehensive. So moving on to my next thing I wanted to cover, and that's just using technology wisely. So we know that technology is not going anywhere. In fact, it's just going to become more and more. It's going to take over. So we want to make sure that we can use the technology that we have access to as wisely as possible, right? We want to make sure it's effective for us. So we want to use technology to do effective research, and we also want to make cost-effective decisions in terms of the legal research services that are available. So in terms of effective strategies for online legal research, I think doing legal research is always a battle between time and thoroughness, because we know as attorneys, our time is very, very valuable. Time is money, right? But we also, when we do research, we want to make sure it's as thorough as possible. But there's so much out there. Like, how do you know when to stop, right? You can go on and on doing research on something. And so it's time versus thoroughness. So one of the things that we can do to try to make the time that we do spend on research efficient as possible is to make sure that we're using good searching techniques. So in terms of word searching, the search engines that these legal research services use, like Westlaw and Lexis, they are using something called an algorithm. People with math and science and computer backgrounds, y'all know what an algorithm is, right? What's an algorithm? Yeah, you have a math and science background? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Another way to think about it is an algorithm is a set of rules. And so they're used to evaluate the search criteria and the documents in the database based on your word search. And so there are two main types of algorithms. There are literal search algorithms and non-literal search algorithms. So a literal search algorithm is going to search for documents that contain the specific terms in your word search. A non-literal search algorithm is going to search for documents that contain the specific terms, but it's not going to be limited to just those words. It's also going to include documents that appear relevant to whatever you typed in. Yeah, that's better, right? That helps us out, right? So legal research services use three types of search algorithms: the terms and connectors, which is also known as Boolean, natural language, and plain language. So again, the computer science, math people, y'all probably have heard of Boolean before, right? The Boolean, philosophers as well, apparently. Boolean code, have you heard that before? So terms and connector searching, That's a type of literal search that identifies the documents containing the precise terms you identify in the precise relationship that you request. So not only are you typing in words, but you're telling that search engine that I want these words to be related to each other in this way. And so the way that you define the relationship between the words that you type in is by the use of something called commands, terms and connectors. So they are connectors that define the relationship among the search terms. So some examples, if you type in the quotation marks around ice cream, that means that you want it to be searched as a phrase. \S means that whatever words you type in, they have to be in that document in the same sentence together. You can get really technical and precise with these terms and connectors. You're telling that search engine, this is the relationship that those words have to be, that they have to have that type of relationship to each other. My favorite one is the quotation marks, because I like to do the phrases. Because if you have something like ice cream, depending on what type of search engine you use, if you just type in ice cream, it's going to pull up documents that have ice. It's going to pull up documents that have cream. They may not be together in the same sentence, the same paragraph, just anywhere in the document that has those words. So if you have a phrase, I love a quotation mark around it. The \S is another personal favorite of mine. But we're going to talk more about those in a second. So this is a chart that you can use with Westlaw, you can use with Lexis, but it's not limited to just Westlaw and Lexis. You can use these terms and connectors when you do a Google search. You can use it with any type of search engine, right? So the most popular ones are going to be the OR, and that's telling it term 1 or term 2, right? If you want to do all terms, you can do and term 1 and term 2. If you want to specify the grammatical proximity, like if you want the words to be in the same paragraph, you would do \P. Same sentence would be \S. You can even tell it how many words apart you want the terms to be in the document. So if you put ice \3 cream, it's going to pull up documents that have ice within 3 words of the word cream. That's highly specific, right? You can also tell it, I want this term, but I want to exclude that term. So if you're doing research for something and you know that it pulls up documents that commonly have 2 terms together, but you only want to focus on one, you can use the and not or but not. If you want to expand your terms, for example, if you want to search for term, terms, termed, terming, terminal, you would put term, TERM, and then an exclamation point. So you would put the root word, then an exclamation point, and that's going to tell it that you want to pull up any variation of an ending of that word. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay. Also, you can use the asterisk if you don't know maybe how to spell it, and that's going to tell it to look for a variable letter. So if you type in TE*M, it's going to search for term, team. You guys see that? Y'all following me? So that was terms and connectors. Now we're talking about natural language searching. This is a literal search, but it's only limited to documents that contain at least one of your search terms. So it's only going to pull, it's not like terms and connectors because you don't have to specify the relationship. So if you just go in and type in some words, it's going to pull up any documents that have those specific words. And so I believe that this is still the case, but at the time that I did this, that I looked at this, Lexis and Bloomberg offer this as their default mechanism, their default search. Okay. Plain language is like natural language. The only difference is that it tries to help you out, because if it's a plain language service, whatever terms you type in, it's going to pull up documents that have those terms, and it's also going to pull up documents that seem to be related to those terms. And so Westlaw and Google, that's their default. Okay. So it tries to help you out a little bit. It's searching for relevancy too. Right. Yeah. Yeah. They try to help you out with that. You said for dummies? So another thing that I want to talk about that you guys may not be using is setting alerts for new developments. So if you are paying for one of these services and you might be working on a project, we know that we have cases that can go on months and years, right? And you don't want to have to keep researching the same thing over and over in separate sessions, right? So what you can do is set an alert for new developments. And once you set up your search terms, it's going to run it incrementally for you. And then it'll notify you if there's a new development. So in terms, and these are called alert or clipping services. Alert or clipping services. And so in terms of Westlaw, Westlaw has key site alerts, and they also have West Clip. Lexis has Shepherd's alert. And so they're just going to run these searches for you at different intervals and alert you if there's been some new development. Bloomberg has create search alert. Okay. You have a question? Yeah, so a slip opinion is when before it gets published. So yeah, they'll notify you if something comes out before it gets officially published. So choosing a legal research service. So I think that's what the gentleman in the room was talking about before. How do you choose wisely among these research services that are available? So there are 3 different categories. We know about the fee-based services. You also have subscription services, and then you have the publicly available services. Those are the free ones, right? The ones that are publicly available. So when we're talking about fee-based, we're talking about those services that charge individual users a fee every time the service is used. And so, of course, the big 2 that we keep talking about, Westlaw and Lexis, they provide full text of a range of primary and secondary authority, and they're generally the most expensive, right? You get what you pay for. Bloomberg, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Bloomberg. I'm sure you guys are, right? Not in the legal arena, but are you guys familiar with it in general? What is Bloomberg traditionally known for? The stock market, right? Business. So I don't know. Yeah, it might be surprising to some of us who've been out of law school for a while, but Bloomberg is making a huge push to get into the legal research market. And so they feel like they can't offer everything that Westlaw and Lexis does, but they want to really rely on the fact that they have this stock market, this business background to create like a little area for themselves. So they think that they have a unique something to offer in the legal research arena. So they provide some of the same things that Westlaw and Lexis provide, but in some areas, they're not as comprehensive in their coverage. But then they have the court dockets and the business information. What do you guys think about? Oh, we have some questions in the chat. Oh, I think these were from the AI conversation. So what do you guys think about Bloomberg trying to get in the market with Westlaw and Lexis? Because that's all we've really known about for the last, decade or so, maybe longer than that, right? Last couple of decades, it's been Westlaw and Lexis. Yeah, it's been a long time. They have that business aside, that business piece that they want to really focus on. But I will say, and I normally don't like to say which service I'm partial to because I teach research, but I will say that the research book that I use, they have been implementing some exercises that incorporate Bloomberg, but the students don't find the site to be as user-friendly as Westlaw and Lexis. And we know that they really try to get you in law school, right? Because whatever you fall in love with in law school, that's what you're more apt to use once you get out and have to pay for something, if you choose to buy something, right? And so I know when I was in law school, Westlaw was pretty much the big name. But Lexis has actually kind of taken over with the students because they offer so many like little like gift cards and things. They have table days. They have opportunities for them to earn all these points. So we know they try to get us in law school, right? And so Bloomberg is making a push right now to get into this legal research arena. Okay. So in addition, I'm sorry.
A services like
Hmm.
service, what is the advantage?
It's gonna be more up. Oh, you wanna say something? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what happened? I need to know what red, yellow, orange, color code is. Let me know which case. Okay. And I don't think we get that one.
And right, that's the updating piece.
I'm more concerned about fast case because I use that. Before I use Google, I'll go fast.
Go to fast case first. And so, yeah, and that's like the shepherdizing, right? That's the symbols. Westlaw has, like Lexis has shepherds. So like the ones that y'all did in the books back in the day, Lexis paid a lot of money to say that we own shepherds. So Westlaw can't say that they have shepherds. So they had to come up with something else called KeySite. So they tell you right off, if you look at it, if it's a red flag, if it's a yellow flag, what's wrong with it. That's the updating piece. The other piece is the editorial enhancements. So with the cases, the head notes, right? If you go pull up a case on Google or somewhere, it may not have those head notes because their editors pay attorneys to work for Westlaw and Lexis to write those head notes for us. So we don't have to read the whole case, or we know exactly where to go in the case, right? And so a lot of those free services don't have it. I think Fast Case is offering, don't they have some type of, you use it often. Do you notice that they have the head notes or the editorial enhancements now? Yeah, they're starting to try to give more editorial enhancements. Yeah, and also it might be because, so two things. There was something called Versus Law that came out, but they have now merged with Fast Case. Then Fast Case and Casemaker, those were the two for the different state bar associations. So depending on where you were barred, your bar association was either going to give you access to Fast Case or Casemaker. So Louisiana has always been a Fast Case state, but now Fast Case and Casemaker have merged as of January of 2021. So Fast Case is like eating these other people up. So I think that's going to help them to kind of expand with their editorial enhancements and the things that they can provide. So it seems like they're improving. But before this, it used to be that Fast Case wasn't as comprehensive as like Westlaw and Lexis. They didn't have as much in terms of like editorial enhancements. And then in terms of subscription services, those are going to be like Hein Online, Index to Legal Periodicals, and Legal Track. This might be of interest to the attorneys who also teach, the professors, because if you're writing these law review articles and things like that, if you do a lot of research, you might be interested in Hein Online or the Index to Legal Periodicals. And so you do have to pay for that, but our law school, our library does have a subscription. If you ever want to use it, you just have to be here in the building to access our link. And then that's also going to include things like ProQuest Congressional and then those subject matter services. That's for guests. So if you like your staff faculty, so you could log in remotely, but the guests won't have that access. So if I think it should still work if they have an active email, if they're still in the system, yeah. But the people who graduated a long time ago are just guests, they would have to be here. Yeah. And then the publicly available services, that's what people are most interested in because that's the free stuff, right? That's what's available generally on the internet for free. And so if you're doing that type of research, of course, some good things to keep in mind is going to be to use websites from government entities. Those are generally pretty reliable. Also, there are some well-known legal research websites like Cornell Law School. Fine Law is pretty reputable. So here's a list of some other ones that people may not know about. Any Law. This is a free legal research services. Free legal research service. The Case Law Access Project. Law Guru. NOLO, I'm sure y'all have seen that. That comes up often when you search. Yeah, NOLO comes up all the time. Open Jurist. And then, of course, in addition to Google, you guys know that sometimes it's better to use Google Scholar, right? So don't just rely, if you want to do Google searching, sometimes it's better to switch over to that Google Scholar platform, especially if you're doing like case research. Another one is Justia. You use that one sometimes. Public Legal, USA.gov, Ravel Law. So I can make this list available. I can have Professor Dickerson or Ms. Henderson email it to you guys or something. Yeah, I think she probably is going to do that. Yeah, okay. And so, but the other catch with using the stuff that's available for free on the internet is what? What are the problems with that? Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. Another thing is anybody can post anything on the internet. Wikipedia. Anybody can post anything on the internet at any time. So it's all about being able to assess the credibility. And that's going to require you to think back to when you were an undergrad and you took your research class, your legal research class here at the Law Center. You have to be able to assess the credibility of the source if you're just using the general internet. So you want to pay attention to any information about the organization or the person who has posted anything, if it's a blog, if, anything about the author's biographical information. You need to try to be able, Wikipedia is the new free legal source for FB law. The Facebook attorneys like to use Wikipedia, he said. The people in the room agree with you. They say that's true. That's where they get their advice from, the Facebook attorneys. Another thing, if you find some research online, I don't know if y'all have had this happen before, but you'll find something and then you go back to it a couple months later and it's missing, no longer available. So you also want to save or print a copy of the web page if you're just doing like general research on the internet. And then sometimes you can try to locate something that's no longer available. There are two sources that you can use for this. There's something called the Internet Archive Wayback Machine, and then there's the Cyber Cemetery. And I haven't checked these recently to make sure they're still up, but that's what they were intended to be used for. And also you want to verify and update your research. And that goes back to what we were saying about the shepherdizing. So if you use Westline Lexis, like you were saying, you're going to know right off the bat when you first look at it, is there a red flag? Is there a yellow flag? Is something, if something is wrong with it, you're going to know. But if you're just finding stuff on the internet, it's not updated. You're going to have to do that yourself, right? I think we have something in the chat. Talking about the FB attorneys. Okay, something else I wanted to bring up that I've heard about recently that people may not be familiar with is called Zotero.org. And so this is a free Firefox extension that's going to help you keep your research organized. So if you're just doing general research on the internet, you're not using like a specific service, this helps you to collect, manage, and cite your research sources. And so there's a link here for the audio tutorial that no, it's free. Yeah. Zotero.org. And then another resource that's good if you're doing free online research is going to be using blogs. Sometimes you'll see it spelled BLAWGS. And these are blogs that are specifically about legal topics. And so those can be a good starting point because the people who author these blogs are usually legal professionals. You might have lawyers, law professors sometimes will have blogs if they teach in a certain area and they really focus on that specialized interest, they'll have a blog about it. Librarians write blogs. I don't have one. Maybe I should start one. But you can find blogs about a variety of different legal topics. And if you vet the people who are writing these blogs, if they're good resources, they can be useful in your research. And so here's a blog directory by the American Bar Association that you can use. And then here are some more sources for legal blogs. that are available. So there's the Justia blog search, the Lex blog. These are some references for legal blogs. Another thing I wanted to point out that you guys could be using is going to be RSS feeds. Are you guys familiar with those? What's an RSS feed? It stands for really simple syndication, and it's an easy way to stay up to date on new content from websites you care about. And so basically it's a file that contains a summary of updates from a website in the form of a list of articles with links. So it's a way to stay updated. And then, as I mentioned before, we are mobile workers. If we are not in our actual official designated office, we're using our laptops. And then if we're not using our laptops, I know I personally have done research on my phone before. So if we're not using our laptops, we're using our mobile phones. And so I wanted to also give you guys some ideas for some mobile apps that might be good for you to download for your phone. And so this is a link to the UCLA Law Library's free mobile applications. These are all free. And so if you click on this link, you'll see a listing of different different mobile apps that you can use. And so I will make sure, if you go to UCLA Law Library, you're gonna see a LibGuide, and it has different mobile applications that you can download for your phone. And when you guys get this PowerPoint, you'll be able to just click on this link. And then I had to put the works cited because I'm a librarian. It wouldn't be right if I didn't. So these are some of the sources that I used here. I had to put the works cited page in there. And these citations are not correct for legal writing professor. These are not in correct format. Yeah. And so I have a legal writing professor in here. So these citations are not in correct format for anything. Okay, well, I enjoyed working with you guys. I thank you for staying with me late on a Friday for legal research. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. So how do I end? I just end like a normal Zoom? Do I need to check the chat again? Okay, no, I don't see anything. Okay, well, good evening. Have a great weekend, you guys. Bye. Oh, thank you. Thanks. No, the library's not closing until 9 today.